Yes. Yes, thank you, Dreamer GT. We've just got the shitty background music.
Yes, thank you, Dreamer GT.
Did you turn off the music?
No, I've turned it down.
You turned it down. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so the music. That's good. Thank you. We're getting settled in here. We've got a new setup for the live stream this week. We've got a better camera. We've got different lights. We got Lewis's wine is in the way there. I'll get to that in a moment.
Same jokes.
Same jokes. The jokes never change. What are we talking about here? And we've got a few people listening. Thank you guys for joining in. This is our 5th show. Yeah,
Cheers
we made
to
it to
that.
5. Cheers. This is nice.
This is really nice.
And thank you for joining in on another Friday afternoon. It's another lockdown week. We're kind of getting out more and more, I feel. That you walk around, there's people around, there's stuff happening. The government still is going back and forth, but it's feeling more open. How do you feel about it, Sille?
I'm confused as fuck. Sorry.
I mean, in general, but about...
yeah, that too. But okay, so the report came out, coming out of the crisis. It came out like a couple of days ago, I think like 2 days ago. It's 22 pages, and it says nothing.
No.
Like how
did you read 22 pages? You read 22 pages?
Yes. I needed actually the input, like, so what about the events, organizing stuff, staff meet, whatever. Like, I just wanted to know if it's safe to go back to work in the office or like stuff like that. And it's so vague. It's like, I'm like, it's nothing like, yes, from July you can have this and that. It's like, well, we recommend maybe, I don't know, like, I don't know either. Like, what what should I do? And there was some really weird sentences like, you can go to the gym outdoors. What?
Into the park. Is that what I mean? Like you do the pull-ups on the park or the different...
Yeah, but we already did that. No? What?
Sure.
I'm like confused.
Well, some of them are... Like, that's the weirdest thing. When you go downtown and there's a park and you can see how they've put a fence around the skate ramp or around the ping pong table. That's my favorite. Like, all those rebels down playing their ping pong in the park. Don't be fucking with the police, motherfucks. But they've put a fence around that. Like, come on, guys.
I didn't know that, actually. So there was like, the guidelines were really not guidelines for me, and it didn't give me any answers. It was just like recommendations, like risk, like, just analyzing the risks and la la la. And I was like, it was really like super vague. I'm like, just like.
But maybe this is the hard time because, I mean, if we go back to what we think old Yuri is, right? We're a little bit worried that he wasn't firm enough. And then, so if we rewind 2 months, Corona's coming. They're trying to work out what to do. Maybe we have to lock down. There's old Martin Helmer there, and he's like, lockdown. Yeah. Close the borders. Yeah. That's great.
I'm actually surprised you're still here.
And so,
they haven't deported you yet.
Me too. I'm actually applying to renew my visa right now. We'll get to that in a moment. So Ekra was like, yeah, lock down the borders. Yeah, that's what we've wanted all along. Yeah. And so for the first time, we were like, actually, yeah, that seems like the reasonable thing to do. So Yuri could be a big man. And he could be like, yes, we're going to lock it down. But now it's harder. Now you've actually got to open up a little bit by bit, come up with a decent plan. And come on, Yuri, we're not hearing much from you, baby. We want to hear some action.
Yeah, and I was like, because I was hoping that this document would actually explain things. And I would actually have a plan. Like, until July or something, I will not have any events, blah, blah, blah. And I was reading. I'm like, when does it say, like, when I can listen? And I had to actually ask an expert. So can you please explain to me what I'm allowed to do, what I'm not allowed to do? But she said to me, like, there's still the 2+2 rule. So it's like 2 people, 2 meters, blah, blah, blah. It's okay if you have a funeral. Yes, you can have a funeral, but you cannot have a public event. I was like, okay.
So hey, look, if grandma, falls off the perch, guys... Don't make a Facebook event about it, okay? That's illegal, but you and your family are allowed to go.
For me, it was confusing as well. So what is it's like a private gathering, but how many people are allowed? Because maybe if I have a big family, there is 100 people or something. Like, you never,
Maybe.
We're Caucasian. Like, it's like we have a big family, okay? So, am I allowed to have 10 people? Or, what is going to happen?
Sure.
And then I also asked, can I go to the movie theater? Or stuff like that, and it's like, no, but you can go to the museum. And I was like, what? Like,
Doesn't make sense. Did you see Apollo Cinemas is running these ads? And the ads are them like spraying down the cinema with chemicals. The ads are like a nice shot of their nice big cinema. And it's got dudes dressed up like they're in a hazmat outfit, like Homer Simpson in the nuclear plant outfit. And they're spraying down the seats like it's Vietnam and we're spraying Agent Orange everywhere.
Wow.
And they're like, no, guys, you can come back. There's no corona in Apollo Cinemas.
Damn. Did you hear that? You did not.
Yeah, only Agent Orange now, but definitely no corona in Apollo.
I think I would actually go and throw up there.
Yeah.
It's just like it's so much chemicals, you know.
Check it out. It's a great ad campaign.
Wow, that's really extra. But so yeah, I asked a lot of specifics, like, can I go there? Can I do this? Can I have a birthday party? Like you know, it's like, because it's confusing, and the document was not any help. So I was like, were these guys high? Like when they wrote it, I was like, were you high? What the like?
It was just 420. Yep, they wrote it on 420. They were super high. Fucking Martin's there, like, hey man, it wouldn't be great if we let in all the refugees. Like, oh, he's kidding. With Comedy Estonia, we're moving all of Sander Uigas's tour shows to autumn. We're just going. We don't think that's going to happen before midsummer. So they're all being moved out to autumn instead. And I think my suspicion is right now we will be able to do outdoor comedy shows sometime in summer. Okay. We'll maybe take a teleskivi out the front of Kapika there, do the old thing where we used to put out just a table and stand on top of a table. And
I love that. That was so much fun.
That old school style shit. I have a feeling maybe something like that sometime in summer, but not jammed into Ukskoik where we're like, oh, where's the comedy? So I think it'll come, and that's taken a lot of my thinking this week, because it pisses me off no end that there are stand-up comedians all around the world, and I might add usually shitty stand-up comedians, who are trying to do stand-up on a live stream, and I'm here to tell you it doesn't work. Ooh, stand-up comedy on a live stream does not work. Like pure stand-up. Like, I'm a stand-up comedian. I've just got my jokes that I've written stand-up jokes, and I will tell them to the camera. It doesn't work. It's so reliant on the back and forth, the audience, the people being in front of you. It does not work. And we're getting like companies writing to us and going, hey, Comedy Estonia, you should do private shows, you know, for a company party. Can you do a Zoom party for us? And we're like, we can't do stand-up. What I think is, stand-up comedians all around the world, they need to stop trying to bend stand-up to work online. It doesn't work. Stop trying to mold it and bend it and make it into something that it's not. Just find something else that works and do that instead. Like, I don't know, a talk show at 4 p.m. on a Friday?
Damn, you heard it here.
Find it. Like, Ari and Mikael have Tusi Soyad Patreon that you can subscribe, get extra content. Carl and Ardo at 6 o'clock today doing their Zoom show with Stripper Marco. With fucking Stripper Marco!
Yeah, the Stripper Marco. Like.
The Stripper... Sorry, I'm just a Stripper Marco. I'm not the Stripper Marco. With the Stripper Marco, right? And Roger and Dan have been doing a Paikas Yankud podcast, and they've been like getting people to call in. And that's cool, and that's interesting.
I know people who started to do like TikToks, even like parodies, whatever. Like,
do whatever you can. It's like, I think we'll be doing stand-up pretty soon, like a couple of months. So why fuck around trying to destroy stand-up comedy? Because the stand-up comedians, the comedy is our holy grail. We think it's the most amazing, pure, high-class form of entertainment that you could ever imagine. It's the most holy and pure art form. Mm-hmm. And so we still consider it the highest zen, right? Because that's our fucking stand-up brains.
Yeah.
Stop trying to mold stand-up into something it's not. Just, there's loads of performance, and there's even loads of comedy that can work on a stream. Just find a different thing to do and do that instead.
Yeah, because for me it's like stand-up is really in the moment, being present, connecting with the room and with the energy, and you cannot, even if it's like 2,000 people watching you, You don't feel it.
It's not the same.
No,
Imagine
it's
that 2,000 people in a room. That would be an amazing thing.
Or whatever, like, I'm exaggerating, but let's say like even like 50 people or whatever. It doesn't matter.
It's bigger. 2,000 is bigger than the biggest hall in Estonia.
Okay, I know.
Alexa
Okay,
is only 1,800. So
Sorry, like, okay, like let's say like 100 people or something
Sure.
like that. Like 100 people. You can see the number and you're like, okay, that doesn't make you feel anything because you don't see their faces, you don't see their presence, you know, you're not in there with, and it's like you lose the connection. And it's just so cringy to watch stand-up, like
right, and by that I mean just like pure. If you can kind of get where I'm coming from, like pure stand-up. There is still a way you can write jokes, sketches, bits, stories that work.
Parodies, whatever.
That work on a stream, right? Maybe a back and forth. It's a couple of characters that you do, and all that shit is good, right? Do the best you can. I feel like, I mean, we're becoming a society more accustomed to live stream now. We're like, everyone's trying to live stream.
Like my Facebook is just like the notifications like on live, like there's like 50 live streams on my Facebook happening simultaneously all the time. Like all the DJs, everybody is like.
And I like it because I think what it's doing is it's bringing us back to the early days of television. And now I'm probably got maybe a Westerner perspective that I remember TV a little bit earlier. The TV like back in the 70s was not slick. It was dodgy. And I really want to even think of the idea of the variety show where there was like a variety show, it was a host, and then there was a musical act, and then there was someone doing sketches, and then they had letters, people called in, and there was characters, and then there was lots of different things that happened on this variety show. And we don't do that anymore. That's like an old form of TV. It's like some shit you'd see from the 70s or the 80s, like, oh, it's so kitsched and so kind of old-timey. But we can do that again on live stream because I think TV went too far. They were like, they got rid of live and it was reality, but we know reality isn't real, like reality shows. It's all kind of produced. It's not scripted, it's produced. Exactly. And if we've got someone talking, it's like Ellen or Oprah. And I don't know why everybody hates Ellen this week. Everybody hates Ellen this week for some reason. I don't know. Like, everyone hates everyone. Last week it was Tom Hanks. I don't know. Everyone hates someone this week. But those shows are so scripted and so produced. Yeah. And I think that what people will get into with live streams is it's literally two idiots who just turned a camera on.
Did you just call me an idiot?
No, this is just a hand movement that I do. It's just two random idiots.
I didn't sign up for being ridiculed online. Okay.
It's just two,
I get it.
one idiot and one maybe not so, and just turning on a camera and talking. And I think people are going to get into it. And I have a feeling, I'll end my rant right now, think not about right now, and we can't make an audience. But imagine what can happen when we can do a live stream with an audience. The guys at Kapika down at Kivi Papakaded, they talked to me last week, and they were saying that they're setting up a live stream infrastructure in Kapika. Maybe a couple of cameras. They can do a live, maybe a stream deck, so it can go this shot, that shot, this shot, that shot. And that will be a cool thing to do in the lockdown. Yeah, great. Some bands can play, you can watch. I think it's really going to fucking pop when you can actually have an audience in Kapika and they've got a super cool live stream because now we're used to live streams. Now they seem normal. Yeah. So I'm excited for the future. Okay. Yeah, then it's so funny because it was like, I think a year ago, everybody was like, old media is dead, it's like TV is dead, blah, blah, blah. And it's just coming back around. I mean, TV is dead, but now what we're doing the old version of TV. It's just not TV doing it. It's
well, now we have like Netflix and stuff like that, or like different platforms, but basically it's the same thing, but yeah, it's funny for me because I was also like, whatever, like, go to shows or, it's so funny. And I always told myself like, I could never be in front of a camera to YouTube, to Instagram lives. And I'm doing it because I was like, well, this is all we have right now. So you have to adapt.
How did you get through that? I mean, because you did the live stream this week. Because I forced you. Exactly. Hey, idiot. She doesn't like it when I call her an idiot. Yeah, you did a live stream this week for the young people's thing. What was it?
Yeah, Nordic, yeah. I did one. It was Facebook Live. They just reached out and they were like, hey, do you want to talk about what's the difference performing on stage and on your couch? Well, I was like, yeah, I have
Same.
Yeah, it's totally different, you know. And I was discussing a lot, like the process that I still get dressed, that I still put on makeup, and it's a lot of effort. I know it doesn't show, but it's a lot of effort. And you know, I was really struggling with the lighting, with the quality of it was a lot of struggle, and I was talking about that, and it was great because people were interacting, asking me questions, and they were like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I remember you from this and that," and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." And really, and I was feeling it like connected to the audience again, like but if nobody like asks you questions and stuff like that, I'm used to people heckling. You know, it's something you're like expecting, and then you're just talking to a screen for 45 minutes. It's super awkward. It's like I'm talking to my phone. It's like literally like, and I was like, yeah, it's different. It takes some time to get used to, but I went through my feelings, and I just got over my insecurities about it. And I'm like, I don't even care about it right now. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, I look as I look, and I'm like, yeah, I just make it work. You know.
I think it's because it's. I mean, first of all, you are no different than any other artist. You've done a lot of performance, and there are so many amazing artists the big stars that will get physically ill before they have to go to the stage. Even if this is something they've done every night for the last 20 years, there are some people that will still get physically ill. It's not unnatural. It's not unreasonable to have that fear and that worry. I think the big thing is to remember that this day will end. There will be another day tomorrow. This is not the be-all and end-all. We're not making some DVD performance that will be shown for the next 20 years. This is a live stream. You're going to see another live stream straight after this, and another one. We'll do another one next week.
Yeah, you're going to forget about it.
And it just keeps going. And I think as artists, we get a little bit too much in our head sometimes.
Yeah, because I was really insecure, like, you know, there's a replay value, but the thing is, like, if you're in the moment, you're seeing me on stage, you don't remember if I stumbled, I fucked up, I dropped the mic,
but you do.
Like I've done a lot of mistakes, you know. But here,
are we talking about the stage?
Yeah, like if it's like, you know, you're on stage and you're just living the moment, and you're just, you know, you're in your present, and you're whatever performing. And for me, it's like you have a like emotion afterwards. You're like, oh, it was so great, or it wasn't that great, or whatever. You have like an emotion afterwards, and I got so much adrenaline, and I was like, you know, I couldn't sleep at night, and I was like, oh, it was so cool, and I want to do it again. But now it's like that is taken away, and if I'm like doing this kind of whatever, it's Instagram live, it doesn't matter. But I was like, okay, it feels kind of forced and fake. I didn't feel connected with my phone, you know, not surprising. And for me, it was like, yeah, it's really hard to recreate the excitement.
Yeah,
you know, going.
It does feel a little, but it's hard to know the boundary between when you're forcing it, is it too fake, and the boundary between that and, well, I'm an entertainer. I got to turn it on, right? And there's a certain element of that even if you don't want to do that show tonight, well, it's the show and the people in the room, so you better do it.
Yeah, but I got to a good place that I was actually like, I want to do it. I want to try new things. I want to, because for me, it's also like unfamiliar territory. And for me, I always cringe when I saw like some video, photos of me, and I was like, oh, look like Jabba the Hutt. Like, what the fuck? Like, I have like so much chin. And like,
send me the Wookiee.
You know, I was just like, I don't know. And like, it was always like foggy and like really bad angles. Like, it's just like, no. And it was always like out of context, you know, like you're saying horrible shit, but it needs context. It's like, no, it's a joke.
Right, that is tough. I mean, there is a certain element to, and that's a good point, that if you say something, like if you say some fucked up shit at a stand-up show, you do kind of know that only the people in that room will hear it. And you get a lot of freedom to play with that. You can say some terrible things, but you are somehow communicating something subconsciously with the audience.
Yeah.
And if that's broadcast and seen and then maybe archived for the future, that is, and that's why I'm just looping back to our original point.
Yeah.
I think even with an audience, I think stand-up doesn't work on a live stream. Because stand-up needs that feeling of intimacy.
Yes.
It needs that feeling that I might say whatever fucked up shit, and if you go along with it because you're in the audience and you've had a beer and we're all on the same page and it's cool, and maybe there was something else that someone said in a previous set that set the correct tone.
Yeah.
and we're on that level, and I say that thing and you are in the moment and you love it. But you just tune into the live stream at that section and
I'm talking about abortion jokes or something.
Right, no, man.
Whoa.
Look, there's some Australian guy talking about brown people and you're like,
Whoa.
no, not
where
good.
Where did this come from? Yeah. And it's like stand-up needs so much context. Like, you know, you have to really be there. And because sometimes the jokes happen because there was somebody in like the front line just, you know, cutting in your lines and stuff, and you're just trying to roast this guy, and people know like, okay, this person was annoying, he deserves to be roasted. Online, that comes off like
you might not
rude
know,
as fuck. Like, you know, if I start, because I've roasted people, like, you know, on my podcast, you're just talking shit, and just for me it's like, oh, I'm making jokes, but people are like, like, you said what?
So we're back to this idea that pure stand-up doesn't work on live stream, but we can adapt. We can find something else.
Sure, if
We're
you
all
have like
finding
idea,
something else.
Absolutely.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
Whew, we're settling in now. We are watching the chat here, guys. Hello to everyone who's watching. We got the chat open. If you want to ask us some questions, we are most welcome. We got a few more stories and things about what we'll be doing this week. But yeah, we just sit back. We talk about the week that's been done. Has it been? Remind us again. So if people are listening for the first time, what's your job? What do you do? You run an MTU, right? Is
yes,
it MTU?
yes, it's an NGO. Yeah,
NGO.
Yeah, MTU. Yeah, I'm like the head of an NGO. So I'm responsible of this organization working, functioning, the staff, contracts, finances, of that. And it sounds a lot, but it's not really. It's really cool. I really love my job. I do love my job. It's like we have a really small staff. Like it's only 9 people, and we're all experts of what we're doing, and it's cool. But now the thing is, like, we have so many goals for this year. The thing is, like, we're doing everything online. We have to reschedule this and that. Projects are on hold, and you know, and it's getting every week more and more stressful because they're not knowing. You know, not knowing when we can actually have these events or these trainings or these whatever. And at first it was like, okay, we're going to take some time off. We're going to but now I'm just like, every day I'm like just recalculating and trying to keep my staff motivated, trying to keep myself motivated.
It's tough.
Because I don't see anybody. Like, I see them. It's not the same. If you see somebody like on Zoom or whatever, like, so it's not the same. And it's really like I've been really missing the just being at a office and just talking with each other, because there's a lot of communication errors and we're trying to fix it. And, you know, you learn like the way you go, because I was like, wait, I don't know about this. When did this happen? And like, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to like text you. It's like, oh, like, because we don't see each other like on a daily basis, and like everybody's going through this crisis differently and trying to hold everything together. And it's been a struggle. I'm not gonna lie, and it's been a struggle for me, and it's been a struggle for everybody else.
I think it's a struggle for everybody out there.
Yes, absolutely. Right. So it's a challenge for every week. You know, like, let's get together, like, let's play some games at least, or like. You
did that because this is something I don't do. I talk with my staff quite often, but tell me about what you do with your staff.
So every Thursday, from 6 in the evening until 8, like 2 hours, 2 hours, we have like a Zoom meeting, but it's not. We don't talk about work. It's just like, hey, you guys, I have some snacks. How you been? What's up? And we just like, it would be like just a normal hangout for us. And then we play some games. We have Kahoot, which is like you have to choose between, like, it's like how, you know, like you have multiple choice and you have to choose it,
you're
right.
playing some games together.
It can be like about my, like 10 facts about myself or whatever. It can be so like really like just for fun, you know, just to get to know each other better. And then we play it's called like Kuldvillak in Estonia. It's like a game as well as like, and also these drawing games, like they're free online.
Okay, but you're playing games together. You're into like, it's not you just having another Zoom work meeting going through the tasks. You're actually
because
just
I don't want
spending
people
casual time together.
Because we were like used to like once a month we used to do like either some voluntary work, or we went out to eat, or we went out for like movies or like a theater, whatever. We did something like as a staff, as a group, and it was not like work related. We just went out and just, you know, hang out and get more close, and, you know, because it's only like it's less than 10 people, so we really need to know each other. We really need to understand each other. so we can really like prevent some conflicts, and like even if we have like problems, then it's like, okay, I know where this person is coming, so I know where this is coming from.
Sure.
And just, you know, because I really love my staff. I think of them as my friends as well, not just, you know, people I work with. And for me, I was like, okay, yeah, we've been doing a lot of meetings via Zoom and also other platforms, and we've been talking with Slack and and email and stuff. But I was like, we are losing this team spirit. We haven't seen each other over a month, so we're really losing the connection. And I decided that, yeah, we should, like, every Thursday, and it's not mandatory. It's like, if you feel like it, just join us with a video. Have something to like order a pizza and just, you know,
That's
and just play
nice.
some games and just relax, and you can make jokes and stuff, and you know, you can, like, if you're like frustrated, and you can just let it all out, and like it's a safe space and nothing work related. So
I like that. I think it's every company. I see you guys, by the way, I see you guys in the chat. Well, I will talk about that in a moment. Don't worry. I see what Utah is talking about. I think every company has to do it in their own way. And that's really cool that you are doing it in that way. Like every company has to find their own way. Because like for us at Comedy Estonia, I've learned now that I now make 2 videos every week. I make one for the open mic comedians, who is the greater community of comedians that we have. Young comedians, new comedians, who are not professional, but they're trying that greater group. And then I make a second video, which is just for the main comedians, the core guys who are the professional, Sander and Ari and Matti and and Mikael.
You always say that.
There are these guys, and Carl and Ardo and Rauno and Daniel and Roger. And I make one video for the main guys that's maybe some more intimate business information, and I make another one that's more broader for the greater group of comedians. And it made me think then what you're talking about, like connecting with your employees and stuff. Like for me, at least, one thing I think, one advantage that we have is that our main guys are all out there doing something. So at least we're visible. And as a leader, I want to do all these podcasts to also be visible. Like I'm not actually talking to my comedians here, but I'm visible. I'm there. You can see I'm hustling, that I'm doing stuff. And you can see Ari and Mikael making new episodes of Tussi Soyad, Roger and Dan with the podcast, Rano's doing it, Tim's doing it. Carl and Ardo are doing it every fucking day on the live stream. So my main crew, my main guys, my main people are already very out there. And I guess that's the way we communicate. And then we have my office staff, we have our operations, Hella, project manager, Henrik, and sales manager, Christina. And then we have our meetings, and then we still... It's interesting, though, the way that... typically the way that Comedy Estonia would make money is one of the ways we make money is performing at company parties. That you've got an event, it's the company party in your office, maybe it's the conference, and we would go and do a stand-up comedy performance for you. And we have enough experience to ask the correct questions, that we can set up the environment, that it is enough. And we know that we have certain acts that we can do that'll fit. And we know, and we're like, well, we don't love it,
audience,
but you're paying, so we found a way to make it work. And now we're actually getting people writing to us asking, can you do comedy over Zoom? And I'm like, fuck no, but here's a whole bunch of other things we can do over Zoom. Cooler board, we can kind of turn that into a Zoom thing. I'm doing something in 2 weeks, or I'm actually hosting an online event for a company, and like an event company contacted me like, we want you to be the host, but it's online. And I'm like, cool, can do. Got a little experience. So
it can be tricky to moderate.
Right, but each of us in the main crew is experimenting with different things. And like Roger and Dan are doing call-ins. I so want to try this. So in their recorded podcast in Paikas Jankud, they're doing people like calling up some goddamn listener and having them on the call. And Carl and Ardo have their Zoom thing going on. Mikael and Ari have extra content that you can get off their Patreon. And we're all hustling, trying things. And we're learning that the things that we try, there are sellable versions of that. Like there is a sellable version of Cooler Board that Carl and Ardo can get into a stream at the company meeting. Carl's got little games. He's got structure.
Yeah.
He knows kind of how to make a thing. Ardo sits back, doesn't say anything, and then says the funniest fucking thing you've ever heard in your life. Like that dynamic. And through that play, that experimentation, we're actually coming up with new ways to hustle, new ways to make it.
Yeah. That's how you survive.
You know how else we survive is the bottle of wine that's sitting over there. Do you want to, can you pass that bottle of wine? As I'm getting ranty.
Yeah, I was getting sick of the Alexander beer because...
No, it's fair enough.
No, because I don't like to drink one thing all the time.
You told me wine gives you headaches though.
Everything gives me headaches, like life gives me headaches. It's like... to be fair.
Okay, I was like, I don't want to get Sille wine. She said that wine gives her headaches. I want to... Just a typical dumb man trying to make sure the woman is happy.
Don't use my words against me.
Exactly.
Well, okay, what happened on Tuesday? Okay, so...
Go ahead.
I was having a video chat with my friend. We were having a good time. And I was like, I didn't have any beer at home or wine. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have a glass of whiskey. I ended up having half a bottle of whiskey.
Okay, sure. Whoops.
So I was literally like shit-faced at home, and it was like I couldn't sleep. I was like so dry. It was horrible. And the next day I woke up and I had the worst hangover, and my upstairs neighbors decided to change the fucking windows.
It was banging. What do you mean? It was crashing.
Yeah, banging, like just throwing shit out of the window. It's like I was like, I'm gonna die. I was like, it was so yeah. I keep saying like, oh, I don't want to do la 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 la. But the thing is like, sometimes I accidentally drink up half a bottle of whiskey, and it happens.
We've all been there. We've all been there. And we're sitting around watching My Little Pony cartoons, and the next moment, half a bottle of whiskey gone.
Yeah, it was so funny because, and I was thinking like, how the hell did I end up? But it's like you're sitting in one spot and you're just like, well, just enjoying, and I love to make whiskey cocktails actually. Okay. Yeah, I love to have like whiskey and ginger beer and lime. That's like my cocktail, and it's really nice, and it's a bit of bitter and sour like me. I love it. So it's
Is that your Tinder profile?
Yeah. No.
No, you don't have a Tinder profile.
I don't. Still no. I'm not that desperate. But maybe next week. We
need
knows?
to look. This is something we're going to need to come to on this show, Sille, is why you don't have these online dating profiles. Because you're like, if I come to that, if I lower, if I go down.
Because I think I'm better than everybody else.
Exactly. And it's like, it's normal. It's like now the live stream's normal. Now everything's normal.
Yeah, I know.
Is it now the Tinder normal? No, you don't want to do
I don't know. For me, it's like, how am I supposed to like represent myself online?
Honey,
Except doing this.
Honey, like, if they match with you, like, I'd go with it. Like, not, like, you're a big enough personality. It's not like, who is this Sille-Kadri person? Who could she possibly, how will I ever get through her difficult exterior and learn who she really is?
That's
like, we know who you are.
That's the problem. Like, I have too big personality.
There's 1,000 episodes of your podcast that they can listen to and learn. Like, you just got to be like in the description, like, yo, I'm Sille-Kadri. That's all it has to be. Like, it's all.
I don't know, man. I was just like, I'm always like, the thing is, I meet a lot of people like who have really just like, they have some assumptions about me and they think that, oh, you're this and that. And I'm like, okay. And it's really hard for me to explain what I'm about and who I am. Like,
but maybe there's a dude who does it. Maybe there's a dude who, not like he's a stalker, but he gets it. He's like, okay, I see her on the podcast. I listen to one. I'm like, all right, I get where she's coming from. She's a cool chick.
Then they're
probably, again, you've got an assumption. It's the same thing like the Instagram live that you don't want to get on the fucking live stream. You were just saying, like, it's a preconception.
Okay, you're right.
In your brain.
Yeah. I'm actually agreeing with you. It's just something.
So we got to get Sille on Tinder. This is the goal. I don't know if it's next episode or.
Oh my god.
More.
Mariana has been saying that to 2 years for, and I'm like,
yes, because I'm gonna be like, I got her on. We're going to get Sille on Tinder on some dating app. Maybe not. Maybe you could start on like Bumble. That's a more international one because Bumble's more international, so there's more international
my podcast is in Estonian, so foreign people don't know that I talk a lot of shit.
So maybe that's a good one. But like, yeah, the Bumble, when I used Bumble briefly, it was more like there was less women on there, but the women that were on that app were more internationally focused.
Okay.
I guess because it's not really a famous dating app, but it's more famous internationally. So...
Can you read the last one?
Lee says, yes, honey, I'll help you set up the account. See, people want to help. Sille, we all want you to, like...
This is becoming really sad.
No.
Right now, this talk is...
Sille needs to get laid. I mean, maybe. I mean, just you got to get a little...
Okay, it was nice. Bye.
No. I mean, we all got to get it sometime. Everybody has to... okay. So there's help. There's people out there who want to see you be happy.
I am happy.
Yeah.
Do I look like I'm like desperate or something? Like, what the fuck?
No, you don't. You look fabulous, but happier. Like...
This is so awkward. Like, can we talk about porn or something?
It's super awkward, I know.
Like,
that's what I'm going for. We can cut to the chat. An intervention app.
And it's coming from Carl.
Carl says, suddenly this is an intervention, yes. Because I usually pop up in Carl's chats and when Kulaput is on and write inappropriate shit about Carl. So, look, Carl, I'm not the one with a fucking pony statue in his bedroom, okay? Carl's got a unicorn or a pony statue in his bedroom, but we gave it to him as a joke, so it makes sense. But it's still like, why is it there?
Is he the dungeon master?
He is the dungeon master. So anyway, we're going back to the chat. My t-shirt. Yar kurat koju.
Close enough.
Close enough. Fuck it. We'll go with that. So the reason I'm wearing this shirt is because it was made by a friend of mine. She designed it. Sandra Lux. Her and her sister Erica. They're making this new line of shirts. Sandra is like a legit fashion designer from the academy. And she made these line of shirts that are especially for the lockdown and quarantine times. And we're starting to sell them on the Comedy Estonia web shop because we thought, well, we got this web shop and yeah, we're shifting some DVDs, a couple here and there, but what the fuck else can we sell? And then my friend Sandra had these shirts and we're like, this is a great idea. So now we're starting to sell other shit on the Comedy Estonia web store. And the first one is these shirts. So I thought I would, model these nice shirts here. If you go to pod.comedyestonia.com, pod .comedyestonia.com. That's where we've got them. It's our kind of like our trial. And if it's like, why is there non-comedy shit on Comedy Estonia website? We're like, fucking lockdown. Like, we got to hustle. We got to add some more things. So we're the new Amazon, by the way. We've got Prime shipping and everything. So I'm wearing the shirt today. I'm representing what we're doing. But yeah, if there is more designers or more people out there who have a product that they want to sell, we're like, can we help you out and sell it on our web store? It's something we might want to be into. So yeah, that's why I'm wearing this shirt. So we can do that. It's cool. We got a plastic ponies tell no tales. Oh, we've got PewDiePie, Rando. It's Rando. See, I remembered. It's Rando.
Yeah.
It's Estonian Randy. And Rando, how's Sarma going, buddy? Because you said last week that people were walking around. It seemed kind of reasonable place. You know what? Sarma sounds beautiful right now because there's no fucking Finnish tourists there. Hey, oi, vittu, oi, porkane, Lapin, kulta, one more. Like, none of that shit anymore. Just nice Estonian people minding their own business more than usual. The sun's out. It's so unspoiled right now. Dang. It sounds like you as a 15-year-old. So unspoiled. Yeah, it's the place to be. All right. Yeah, we're getting the Saaremaa update out there. Is it still? I mean, is there still something? Is it still in lockdown? I mean, you can walk around. It seems like a regular place. I guess there's no meetings. You can't. But if I had the chance, I'd go to the mainland.
But you can't leave Saaremaa?
No. It's quarantine, baby.
Because in Hiiumaa, at least it was like you can leave Hiiumaa, you just can't go back.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm talking out my ass. Maybe Rando can say.
At least that's what I've heard. Like that's what people
told me. Oh, but you can't go. Wait. You can go.
No, it's like
what?
you can leave Hiiumaa, not Saaremaa. I'm talking about Hiiumaa.
Yeah, but it's a road. It's the same, right?
They're different islands, but.
Yeah, but there's a bridge.
No, that's Muhumaa.
Wait.
There's like Hiiumaa.
Oh, Hiiumaa's the other island up north.
Yeah.
Mr. Fucking Stupid here. I'm thinking of, okay, all right, yeah, so, okay.
So,
all right.
Okay, yeah, so Hiiumaa had like also a problem, but like my friend told me, like actually my coworker told me that you can leave Hiiumaa, but you cannot go back. So if you have like family and you want to visit them, so that's not allowed. So you can go to the mainland, but you cannot return. So that was the problem.
It sounds like the Hotel California. You can check out, but you can never leave. It sounds like my bedroom. Everyone, Carl, there has never been as many eyes on your bedroom as there has been in the last weeks.
What was he talking about? Like,
no one can get.
Oh, like okay, now I get the gun.
No one can get in and out of. Like you can't get to the island. They can't really leave. You can't come back. It's a lockdown. Maybe Hiiumaa is a little different, I guess.
Okay, so if you like, do you still get like items and merchandise? Because what are you eating there? Like, are you eating each other?
Some, yeah.
Are you eating each other? Have you resolved to cannibalism?
We let them go. There was a few Finnish tourists that were still trapped there. We hunted them down. We put them on one of those big outside roasting things. We all went kicking. There was a fire. It was great. We all had the big Saaremaa party.
Because bitch, I saw Platform on Netflix, and she was real okay, like cannibalism, man. Okay, so cargo is allowed.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
so
all right.
Still, potentially, we could get our Amazon orders. We could still get our.
Can you like smuggle yourself out with the cargo?
Am I a cargo?
Because that's definitely that I would try.
Yo, I've got cargo pants. Let me out. No, I don't think it works.
That's really bad.
Yeah, it don't work.
I would just be like I don't know, put myself in a box first time in my life and just let myself ship. Like I don't know, like. Okay, so that's interesting.
Okay, so you've got to stay on the idyllic island. So wait, nothing's happening in the world. There's nothing for you to do. The sun's come out. You've got to stay on the idyllic island. There's enough food at least to live. What's the problem here?
It's like Robinson Crusoe.
Yeah, like I heard they search cars. No shit. Oh, like
that is
you're
really
like a
Soviet
smuggler.
Union.
Yeah, that's Soviet Union shit. Like there's guys that have stitched themselves into the car seat. Like that's how I used to get across borders. Like how they get over the Mexican border and shit. Like Mexican, like oh senor, oh like, and he's in the car seat. Like they on the crevices. Like you have more. It sounds like you have more chance of getting drugs to Saaremaa than you do of having an actual person.
I actually hope PewDiePie that you have enough weed. Like I actually hope that you have something to drink or something to smoke or some awesome people.
That would be an interesting one. Do you, the contraband that you may still expect. I heard through, unreliable sources that the marijuana that certain individuals in this country might partake in is mostly grown in Estonia. So it wouldn't actually, I was like, the supply is drying up. Things are going to be terrible. I'm not going to sleep for 2 weeks. But most of it was actually already grown inside of Estonia. So
I've heard about like farming. And I've heard about it.
Oh, dear.
Okay.
It's too much. Sometimes things are too much.
Don't have a heart attack on like.
I'm old, but not that old. Okay. I don't smoke weed, but I heard the weed's gone. Shit. Okay. There's no reggae parties. There's no Rasta shit. Okay, all the weed's dried up. Holy shit. Imagine what all the... It's simultaneously the unhealthiest, but the most healthiest island in the world right now. It's the most healthiest part of Estonia. Nothing illegal is getting into Saaremaa.
I don't know. I would just like... what would I do actually? I was thinking about it. If I would be stuck in Saaremaa or Hiiumaa or whatever, like, what I would do? Like,
Fuck. That's it. That's fuck, cook. Life sounds good. Like, if you have someone to fuck,
true.
that is it. You go to the Rimi, you get your haklia, you make a nice little dinner for you and your girl.
But what if you're broke? And there's like,
But you're not broke. Like, haklia is what, $2.50? You can afford the food, right? You don't need to live pimping. Because, like, right now, anything impresses your woman. Like, you don't need to...
well, you would know.
Diamonds or fancy dinners. You're just like, look, I got your nutrients. That's all that needs to happen right now. It sounds
Actually,
like a good life.
You know what I would do? I would learn to make my own like gin or whiskey or something like that. I would do something like really like bootleg shit. I would just produce some alcohol by myself and try.
It sounds like they've got alcohol because the cargo can get in.
Yeah,
so
true. But
legit.
You need to learn cooking, you know, so.
Can you cook?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What do you cook?
I'm vegetarian, so everything is... what do you mean?
I don't know. Good. I'm not biased. Go ahead. It's cool.
Like mostly Italian, but also like Asian and like cuisine and stuff like that. But like I love to
Vegetarian lasagna, maybe might cook a little life. Vegetarian pasta.
Pasta, yes. Risotto as well. I make soups, fried rice, whatever, whatever I feel. So yeah.
You should put that on your Tinder.
That I can cook? No, like
no.
That's really
You're vegetarian. You're like.
Yeah, that's really like pretentious, super pretentious. Like even you didn't like. I don't talk about it.
What are you cooking, Rando? What are you cooking? Tell us. Sille-Kadri looks like a moonshiner to me. Yeah, she's a smuggler. She's a boot runner from the old west.
Actually, I take that as a compliment
Yeah,
because I know how to hustle, honey.
Yeah, you got to make it happen in the old times. It was all that we had, right?
And I remember those times when you had like, there was like big glass containers.
Right, some big thing.
Yeah. Like, you know, and you can make like wine, like
some
homemade
weird
wine.
spirit that you didn't know what the percentage was, but
And it got you shit faced.
yeah,
like,
it could send you to heaven or it could make you blind.
It was like, you know,
no one will know.
It's like homemade wine, and it's like, oh, and I think it's the level of toilet wine in prison, like, because it's
Toilet wine.
it's like really tastes like shit. That's why I remember when I was like 16 or something, and I had like I tasted the home wine, and I was like, whoa, like it was really strong, really bad, and I was like, oh, I hate wine. Wine is shit. And then later on, I tasted like the real thing, and I was like, oh, this is wine. I was like, this is pretty good. Because I had the shittiest homemade, like you get like really super shit faced, like just having one glass and you're totally like you're done.
You didn't know how it was back in the day. You didn't know what it could possibly be.
No, we're poor as fuck, you know. Like, so
sure.
you drink what you can. It's like
Soviet style. You just you know making it happen.
yes, because I'm technically I was born in the Soviet Union.
Okay.
But because I was born in 1990, so 1 year after that we got the re-independence. So.
I love that shit. I love knowing, like, to me, that's such a trip. Oh, yeah, we got to go back to the stream. There's so many good things. It's such a trip to me. Like, to still think, like, where was I? I was in Berlin, like, in January. I don't know, February, I don't know, sometime. And I was like, I'm at the Berlin Wall. Here's the Berlin Wall. Wow. And where I was staying was, like, right next to the Berlin Wall. And it was in East Berlin. Yeah, the commie section, right? And so that's a little bit shittier. And I could walk over the river and see the nicer section. And there's all the history. And I'm like, yeah, it's the winds of change. And scorpions and shit going through my head. And I was all super psyched. And I was like, yeah, in the history. And then I remembered, I was like, oh, wait, I live in the former Soviet Union every single day of my life. Why am I impressed by this? Why do I think this is...
Because literally, like, this was an industrial era.
There would be hard-working proletariats working in the factories here in Teleskivi.
Yeah, and you see it every day, and you're
sitting here sipping wine as hipsters.
Yes, exactly. Like.
Right, and like, why was I so impressed to be in East Berlin and like, oh, it's the winds
because
of
it's
change.
overhyped.
Yeah, and now I'm back and I'm like, yes, I'm back in Soviet Union.
But something like, you know, like I watched a video like David Hasselhoff performing on the Berlin Wall. Come on, I would love to see if I could go back in time. That's one moment I would have loved to see that like David Hasselhoff.
It's a moment in history. Germans love David Hasselhoff.
Yes, he was so big in there. Yeah.
Yes. Well, what do we got? So Randall's making baked potatoes with braised chicken breast. Oh, we're quite the chef. We've been watching Sanders' channel, possibly getting some cooking tips, phone in hand. Silla is a vegetarian, but she may not be the one that actively advertises it on her t-shirt.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I feel like our whole group as Comedy Estonia, it's good that we have found stand-up because we would have been doing something dodgy in the Soviet Union. Like we would have been running something like some level of underground thing. We would have found, it's like if you have Bizarro World, it's like Star Trek in the Mirror Universe or some shit, right? Same characters, different universe. And it's like we would have still come together as a group, but we would be like doing some shit on the underground or making...
Next week on Twilight Zone. Do you remember Twilight Zone? I love this shit.
Yeah, we'd been making booze or selling stuff on the underground.
Totally.
Like in the old days, not in like the previous days where you could get deported and shit. Like in the last years where it was like, it was all right. No one was getting was it people getting deported? I don't think anyone was getting deported in the last years of the Soviet Union, right? I'm being culturally insensitive here.
Well, I don't know because I remember like what we learned in history. There was the revolution, blah blah, and I actually don't know about that.
Right. Well, the last years were like where they were very liberal, where you could get away with random shit.
It was like
you weren't gonna like get fucking Mikhail Gorbachev's fucking.
But I was like, I had a conversation with somebody like a few months ago. Like, if I was born in the 50s or something, I would be in prison. Like, I would be definitely like.
Oh, you would be a revolutionary, yeah.
Because like, as a female like feminist and talking about like really like if myself like literally like a woman with my personality would live back in the day. I don't know, like, because like my grandmas, I don't know if I told you that, but my grandmas were actually kind of like feminist. They had their kids when they were in the 30s, and they were really hard workers, took no shit, no bullshit, like really like I have a lot of respect from my grandmothers. They're both dead, unfortunately, but they had great careers, and they were just like, and they did some illegal stuff to get by as well. Yeah, they were just like, you need to survive, honey. Your parents are dead. Everybody's dead. Nobody gives a fuck. You're a female, like in a Soviet Union. Yeah, and you need to just make it work. Nobody can, and you need to marry some guy to get by, and you don't love him. You don't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's a drunk. Occasionally he takes a swing, but just
no. You swing back. you swing
you just
back.
Learn, you fucking boom, give him with a left hander just to get him back. Like that's how this shit works.
Yeah, it was really tough, and I read a journal that my grandma wrote back in the 70s.
Dang.
I was like, wow. Like I was like, I would be in prison, like literally. Like I could not, because like all the like I couldn't travel and everything that was going on. Like I read about it, like in her journal. I was like, no, that life. I couldn't imagine my life. Like
it's hard. I mean, I guess you are also maybe you do have the same spirit as your grandparents, but society has given you more room to move,
freedom,
right?
And
freedom to grow. So. My family, both sides of my family, both grandparents come from Romania. I am 100% Romanian. I realize that I don't look it. I am 100% Romanian.
Well, you shave yourself, so
and I have stolen all of your wallets, even over live stream. I have all the shitty BMWs. I've stolen all of your wallets. I am technically 100% Romanian, but both sides of my family, after World War II, emigrated to Australia. And my parents met in Australia because the Romanian community stuck together in Australia. Yeah. So that's why they met, but all for 100% Romanian. And my mother's mother, my grandmother, her and her 3 sisters, they were alive during World War II from Romania. Now, I don't know how they did it, but they basically got to Germany, as much as I've been able to piece through. Born in Romania, they got to Germany, and they got this, I believe the 3 sisters were trained as nurses. So that's a pretty valuable skill. Yeah. That's what they will want in a wartime. And not only were they trained as nurses, they got the certificate that said they weren't Jews. Like whatever, the I ain't
That's a big thing.
Yo, Adolf
Yeah.
says I'm cool certificate, right? So what they could and the irony, I don't know if it's an irony or whatever, is that they could live out their lives in the middle of Germany, not bothering nobody, just being nurses, working at a hospital, doing their thing. And that was a reasonably safe place to be in the middle of the war.
Yeah, because they kind of found a loophole or a blind spot or something.
Yeah, I'm not a Jew. And the German's like, you know what? He's fine. Come.
Man.
Yeah, that as long as you're not a Jew. So
We
I
all
don't know
seen
how they got
Schindler's
that.
List.
I don't know how one gets the no Jew. Adolf
like-
says you're cool stamp, but they got it. And so my grandmother spent World War II in Germany, which, and then afterwards we got a boat because there's no planes. They took a boat to Australia some years later.
Yeah, it's really complicated when it comes to my family because one side is from Abkhazia, like near Georgia and stuff like that, and they immigrated.
Where? What place?
Abkhazia.
Abkhazia. I don't
It's a
even
really
know.
tiny territory, like really tiny.
Okay.
And it's not even recognized by like Russian government and stuff. It's like it has a lot of issues. But I usually say Georgia.
Okay,
So people
Georgia.
are like
I know
Georgia.
Georgia. I've been to
Yeah,
Georgia.
that's why I
Okay.
get my temper and I like.
Okay, you got a
I'm like-
strong
Yeah,
hot-bloodedness.
it's like
Yeah.
I have. That's why people are like, "Are you from Estonia?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am," but my grandfather is not. So I call him Puppy because he really is like he looks like Latino and like he's really he has a temper and everything and kind of cliche but it's funny. But yeah, my grandparents from my mother's side, like their parents were born in the First World War and died, and then my grandparents were born in the Second World War during the. It's like really like like when I heard the history, it was like, what the? How did you survive this?
And
shit?
this is all happening in this small place down in the Caucasus there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because most of them are like originally from Tallinn, except my grandpa. But like everybody was from Tallinn, different there like places, and they lost their parents. Like my second grandpa, like, he was an orphanage, grew up with a foster care and like with the foster family, and it's like really it got really complicated after.
Yeah,
I was
very
just
complicated.
it was really complicated, and we have so much different roots and stuff, and it's like we have like some German blood, Estonian, Georgian, whatever. Like it's really mixed. It's really mixed. So
That's funny because when I went to Georgia in, I want to say 2008 maybe. I'd already
during the conflict. Okay.
Yeah. I forget, was it just before or just after?
Okay.
And it's a really long story. I went with my Estonian friend Iris, and it was a great combination in Georgia, like under Russia there, right? Sorry, you're not Americans. There's no Americans watching, so geography.
So you're
I don't have to
educated
tell
and-
you. And I went there with my blonde Estonian friend Iris, and it was great because she spoke Russian and I was a man. And that's all we needed to get by in Georgia in 2008. And it was weird. Like, I have met other Romanian people. I've been to Romania once or twice. And when I go, I do not look Romanian. Like,
Yeah, because you shave your beard.
yeah, I thought I would go to Romania and I'm like, hey, I'm going to see all these good looking dudes who look just like me.
Are you the
Hey,
Fonz or something?
easy. Yeah, exactly, right? I thought I'd see all these cool dudes who look just like Louis. Yeah, it's going to be Louis country. Yeah. And none of them, they don't look like me. But I went to Georgia and goddamn, I look like every motherfucker there. Like, yeah, they got heavier eyebrows. They haven't got the haircut, hasn't been done. But dang. And when we're in Georgia in 2008, with my blonde Estonian friend Iris, she would talk to a person, a man, of course. She would talk, which was always a man. She would talk in Russian to them, and they would talk back to me in Georgian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we never understood. Was this because like they don't know how to speak Russian, or was it a misogynistic sexual thing? They're like, nah, I'm not talking to this woman. I'll talk to the man. He looks like he know what's up.
Well,
Like, we
maybe
never understood why that was.
Maybe they assumed that you're Georgian.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were
maybe
just
that's
like-
it. They're like, oh, this dark-haired motherfucker.
Yeah,
he's
like
Georgian.
maybe
No,
we're
no.
gonna ask you some questions like,
Yeah,
what's up?
get out of here, blondie. We never understood. Was it just a
Yeah.
misogynistic thing? Was it just a language thing? But they would all the time look at me and go, duh, duh, duh. And I'd be like, I don't know, brother, talk to Blondie here.
Yeah.
And they would have to then take up the conversation.
because like I remember when I was like in Poland or something, and like, oh, you're from Estonia, you must speak Russian, and they immediately like, it's like, no, I don't speak Russian. Like, okay, my Russian is not the best, but because my parents and my grandparents speak fluent Russian, of course.
Of course, from back in the day.
Yeah, and you needed to. It wasn't, But I'm like, and I've heard Russian a lot during like birthday parties and family gatherings, whatever. But for me, it's like always like I travel, and then it's like, you speak Russian, and I'm like, and they don't even ask. They just, oh, okay, like, and they started talking, and we're like, what's going on? And it's really, because people assume, okay, so you look like, oh, you're from there, okay, and then they already make assumptions, and you know.
When I was in Georgia, so I mean, again, 2008. Even that is 12 years ago. It's still quite a little bit time ago. And as we all know, as again, educated people that you are, that Georgia is the place that Stalin came from. So and here's the thing, they still love him there. They love him. They were still in the middle of the main square, huge statue of Stalin. Just like you looking up like, that's Stalin. And then you could go to the Stalin Museum. And my Iris and I went there, and we were going, there was like busts of, like, only good shit about Stalin. Nothing about genocide, nothing about like, sending people to the gulags, none of this. Just like great leader shit everywhere. They had his original railway cart, like his bulletproof, bomb-proof railway cart. It was the home where Stalin grew up. And you can buy Stalin merchandise. So, okay, here's the thing.
I don't know which is worse, Trump merchandise or Stalin.
Stalin is the best. So my friend Iris, she bought a book of poetry that was written by Stalin because he's a sensitive dude who writes poetry. So you can read his poems. But I have, and this is still on my bookshelf to this day in my home here in Tallinn, I have a small bust of Stalin.
Oh.
And it's like cheap clay, and it's the paint is chipping off, but it's Stalin. And it has freaked the fuck out of every Estonian who's ever walked in my apartment. It's like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's Stalin. It's great. Like, it's
You
cool.
don't know Stalin?
Yeah, remember Stalin? Remember that guy? It's great. And I have to tell the story. And yeah, I bought a little bust of Stalin because who buys a statue of Stalin? Like, that was a thing for sale. And they...
Probably cost nothing.
Right, they think that's a thing, so who can resist?
But for me, it was like the worship of some leader or something like that. It's always been kind of weird for me. I remember when I was in Turkey, and there was like Atatürk everywhere, like the photos, a museum, mausoleum, and this and that, and every shop has a photo of him, and they were like really praising like Atatürk, and for me, like as a like Western person, I was like doesn't
She
seem...
calls herself a Western person. That's cute. Oh, it's nice. We've come so far, haven't we? Okay, I'm joking.
I'm gonna call Helme, and you're gonna get your ass deported, motherfucker. Like, if you're gonna come from me, like... I actually have a passport.
Brother from another mother is saying he knows several Georgians in university and they spy Stalin. Absolutely.
Okay, if they're like living here and blah, blah, blah.
Maybe they're international. This is a long time ago. We were going deep. We were going to, what was it? Gori. That's Stalin's home. I mean, we're in Stalin's hometown.
That's different. It's a rural place, I think.
Sorry?
Rural, like really like countryside.
Yeah, very rural. Very rural place. And I remember when we were there, what happened was that Iris and I have been traveling for maybe a week or so. And if you travel with anybody, you're like, look, we need some time away. We're going to go for a walk, have an afternoon separate. So we're in Gori. I went up the hill. I looked over the thing. And I think Iris just walked around the town. And I got back to the town and I got to the park where we were supposed to meet. And she was sitting on a bench reading. And there was 4 dark dudes just all standing around her. And I see this from the other side of the park, and I'm like, alert, alert, what's happening here? We're in Georgia. How am I going to deal with this situation? And I kind of walk around the park, and I eye it off, and I'm like, nothing seems to be happening. And it's the time that we're going to meet. So I go over, and I'm like, oh, hello. And I say hello, and I meet the gentlemen, and they're nice, and eventually they leave, and I say to Iris, and I'm like, are you okay? Is it all right? She's like, yeah. She said, she didn't seem in distress. She said, yeah, it was all right. They just all came over. They wanted to talk to me. and they wanted to ask, and they're all polite, and they kept the distance. And I got to thinking that afternoon, I'm like, wait. In the whole time that I had been in this small town of Gorey, I had never seen a blonde person. Not one.
Yeah.
These dudes may have never seen a blonde woman in their life. Imagine that. You're like, you ain't ever seen a blonde, and you're like, there's one in the park right now. But I'm a gentleman. I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'll go talk.
But it's like seeing a unicorn, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to go say something to her. So
Because I remember my friend, she was traveling in India, and she went to really countryside, poor places. Like, I don't want to sound offensive, but like she really was,
Sure.
she wanted to see like the real life, not just, Mumbai or like,
eat, pray,
and
love.
then there was literally like villages that people were like, why you have blue eyes, and like, do you paint your skin? They would ask because they were like, why are you so white? Like, is that a cream?
Sure sounds like some Ekra shit.
I know,
Somehow
like-
that sounds like something
I
Ekra
know,
would
I know.
say.
But she was like, what? No, it's just different race.
Yeah,
People were like, what's that? Like, they were like, literally, like, they had never ever, they don't have any internet, and they were like, they didn't know that people from different races exist. So that was kind of seeing a Jedi or something. Like, they were like, whoa, like kids scattering around her and like touching her skin. And she was like, this is really weird.
I'd be like, yo, kids, touch this, baby. Yeah, touch this. This is it.
So,
Yeah.
I remember when back in 2016, when I was in Turkey for the first time, I was in Ankara. And it was a time during the bombing. There was like the suicide bombers and stuff like that. So it was not like a lockdown, but there was a lot of security, police, like just, and I remember just sitting at a park, just, having a tea and like there was a guy, and he asked like, do you have your passport with you? Because I know you're foreign, do you have your passport? And I was like, why do you ask my passport? And he's like, because I can see that the security guards are coming.
Oh, you better have it. Not that he wants to see it.
No,
but
it was like, you better have your passport, and you better have a good excuse to be here. And I'm like, I'm just a tourist. Like, I was so shocked. Like, I was like, what the fuck? And then actually, there was 2 policeman officers came, and they spoke Turkish, and I was like, what the?
And they did want to see you.
passport. And I was really scared. Like the first time in my life, I was like really like, I don't know, what did I do? Like I was just sitting drinking tea, literally, like in the middle of the day, and I was just like, did I do something wrong? And then this guy was like, he didn't know me, but he was like, okay, I'm gonna translate because I can see that you're so lost. And they said like, there was a bombing like 8 days ago in this shopping mall, and you're sitting across it in a park. And you look foreign, and they were like just asking what you're doing here, how long are you staying in Turkey? They wanted to see I was so shook. I was like, yeah, I had my passport with me, and I was just shaking.
They're
like,
probably fair questions. Like, fair enough.
yeah, I know. And I was just like, I'm a hippie. I'm not a terrorist.
A little bit terrorist, a little bit.
No, I was like, and then I was so happy that a guy helped me out because they were speaking Turkish, and I was like, I was like, I don't understand anything that you're saying.
Yeah, sure.
And it was like really. I was so shook after that. I was like, I need to get a drink. Do you sell alcohol anywhere? Do you sell alcohol anywhere, please? I need to get a smoke or a drink or something. Like, I was so. Whew.
Going to the chat, we've got Yuri is welcome from Australia, from the hottest and sweatiest top end. What are you in, Darwin? You know what? I was thinking about Australia, the irony of Australia having our most redneck capital is called Darwin. Now, okay, so Darwin is the capital of the Northern Territory. We have kind of states in Australia, and we have the most northern state, the most, let's say, redneck, rural country. Capital city is Darwin, way up in the north. It's technically not that far from Indonesia. It's only like 500 kilometers from the end of Indonesia. They're right way. It's hot. It's sweaty. There's not a lot of business opportunities there. And, we have our stereotypes about those who live in the countryside, as we all might do in any one country.
Yeah.
But our redneck country, our redneck city is called Darwin. Darwin, the guy who made the theory of evolution, the Darwin Awards. I think there's a beautiful Australian humor to the irony that our most redneck town is called Darwin. My shock was moving here from Estonia, and boy, I enjoy the bogans here. Hold on, mate. So YouTube, you live in Darwin? Holy shit. Like, yeah, it's the... Oh, I'm dissing Darwin. I'm dissing Darwin. Look, Darwin, a lot of shit going up in the north there. Bush Tucker, man. I have really no connection to Darwin. It's super far away.
Well, he probably didn't have a choice because he's an immigrant, so... Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's the same. Like, for example, when a black person was in Estonia 15 years ago, when Dave Benton might have been here. So because I've got this idea, like, I think, like, here's what we need to do, right? Here's how we're going to help integration in Estonia, how we're going to help us be a great nation.
More immigrants.
It's going to be me and James Wirtz and Dave Benton, and we're going to go on a tour of South Estonia. And I'm going to bring my grill. If Bauhof, you ever deliver my fucking grill, you keep sending me emails like, here's a 5% discount because we're delaying your grill. If you ever send my grill, I will use it. We're going to take my grill. We're going to go on a tour of South Estonia. And it's just going to be grill with Louis, James, and Dave.
This sounds like Black ZZ Top.
Yeah. And we're just going to have an afternoon grill. Louis is going to be grilling. You're going to have a drink with Dave, talk to James. And I think this is going to cure like 45% of the problems that we have with immigration in Estonia. You can just be like, yo, you can just hang out and talk to Dave Benton. And you'd be like, you know what? Hey, it's a black man. He not so bad. Like, that's all it has to be. They just go like, you know what? You're not so bad. It's the Louis, James, and Dave tour. I will cook sausages. And I think we're going to do a good deed.
Come on, if you hear like Dave Benton speaking, he has this really deep.
Oh, he's so good. His voice.
His voice, it's like butter, like you're like just melting. You know, no, come on, that voice. So we have a lot of comments.
So my shock was moving here from Estonia. Hold on, mate. There are opportunities here. So you've been in Darwin for 4 years. That's a lot of fruit picking. What do you do in Darwin? Because I don't know what anybody does in Darwin. I would like to know. Kudna Trio had a black member for 25 years.
Really?
They were immensely popular during the 90s. Who?
I know the Kulna Trio. It was a classic like syldi music. It's like something that it's Jaanipäev and you listen to this kind of, you know. Good stuff. It was really popular. I remember Kulna Trio, but all their members were white as far as I know. Because
sure it wasn't just someone with a lot of makeup? Like, you guys like going to solve racism problems or got chased with pitchforks? I don't, you know. True. There is the possibility that we could get chased with pitchforks, but then Dave just has to go, Eurovision, and then Tanal Pada comes out and everybody sings and dances, right? Like, we make a connection here. Remember Eurovision? It's going to be the way it works. I remember the time my dad came from Estonia and saw the indigenous, the Aboriginal people drinking and fighting on the street. For me, it was a normal thing. But after a while, for him, it was very exciting. So, YouTube, your father is clearly Matt Helmer. And he came back and we said, no.
All the
people, we need to get all... It's true. We do have a lot of social issues, absolutely. So, Australian people, they came and more or less invaded Australia. Let's say invasion. There was already Aboriginal people living in Australia for very many thousands of years. And then they were living a good life. They learned how to fish and how to take from the land and how to live, right? But then the white guys came. And the white guys said, no, we want the civilization. We want the rules. We've got guns and houses.
But didn't they have like a prison? Or like
who didn't? The black guys or the white guys?
No, like the Brits used to send their prisoners.
Right. So originally,
that's what we are told in schools.
So there was right.
That's
so
what
there was this bloke called Captain Cook.
Yeah.
And this bloke called Captain Cook had a couple of ships, and he sailed all the way down, and they didn't know what was happening down that end of the world. Yeah. And he found this place, and he's like, oh, this place looks pretty good. There's sunshine and some beaches, and looks like it could be a reasonable place to hang out. And so then the British, who live in a miserable fucking island that's rainy, full of people, desperate, they were like, we're going to send our prisoners to the paradise Like, because back then in whatever
Yeah.
it was, the 1780s, the English had like so many prisoners. They had ships just sitting in the harbor full of prisoners. That was their
That's insane.
Their prisons was the,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like, yo, we're just gonna float them to the other side of the
It
world
was
and get
back
rid of them.
in Queen Elizabeth I, I think.
I don't remember who was the.
I think it was Queen Elizabeth
She's
first.
so old, it could have been the current one. I'm not sure.
True.
She's real old.
She's a dinosaur.
So then they went like, we found this land. We're going to make it a penal colony. We're going to make it the place we send the prisoners. But it was the fucking paradise, in case everyone in Estonia hasn't noticed. Like, and so, yeah, it's a beautiful sunny place. And it was a penal colony. And as a common topic on my podcast is that's why I have a problem with the police, because back in the day it was the British soldiers who were the police, and soldiers not well known as being great police, maybe more these days, not so much back in the day, and that's all we got there. So and that means that when we came to Australia, we weren't really good to the indigenous, to the black people that were there.
Yeah.
And we took them away from their families and we fucked them up and we did all shit. So is it any wonder that these days the indigenous people of Australia are a little bit fucked up?
Yeah, because they've been repressed.
Right. And it's a problem and they need to help themselves and we need to help them and it needs to go.
Yeah.
But we can see where it came from. So that's why there's black guys drinking on the streets in Darwin. Not that we're racist, but it's a reality and we did them that. So I'll spare the virtue signaling any longer to say that I'm a good person.
Also, if you know anything about like America and how, you know, the racial issues and the immigrants and everything, like, you know, if you really get into the social studies and you really find out, then it's like, it's really fucked up. It's really fucked up how like the prejudice and everything. And it's just, you know, we just need to get along.
So check the wiki page. The name is Raul Jael. So he's some sort of what, Spanish? That sounds Latin. Do you recognize the name? He was the member of that band.
I'm telling you, I was a kid and I
Right.
don't remember any kid, any black.
Right.
I'm really sorry. I was a kid back in the 90s and I just okay.
And Tauno, you're right. Eurovision win was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's evaporated. And it's right, but it's Estonia, so we hold on. Right? You don't know how I'm so desperately holding on to my career right now. I'm me and Dave. We've done something back in the day. Dave had done way more than me. But maybe we can do our thing. We can have a drink anytime. Australian police is very friendly. Oh, this is interesting. Okay.
This is new.
So YouTube says Australian police are very friendly compared to
YouTube
Estonian.
says, I love it. Like
Because
one
I
guy.
have found, I think the opposite. I think Aussie police are a bunch of cunts. And now and I think Estonian police are quite nice. Is that because like the comedians, and Carl can definitely vouch for me here, that if I've ever had a car full of comedians and I'm driving and I've been pulled over for speeding, we get pulled over. It's about maybe 11:30 at night or something. The policeman pulls us over. They come to the side of the Volvo and he says, "Tere." And then I say, "Hello, officer. How are you today? I'm sorry. Did I do something wrong?" And this officer shits his fucking pants. He's from Viljandi.
Oh, you're playing the race card?
It's the middle of the night. He doesn't know what's up. And he's like, "Whoa, well, you were going over the speed limit." And I'm like, "Oh, you know what, officer? You were correct. You're absolutely correct. And I was going over the speed limit. I apologize. It was a long day. What do I need to do?" And he's like, "Oh, well, you just go on your way and no problem." I'm like, "Thank you, sir.
That sounds so Finnish.
That's very nice of you, sir." And
So Finnish. Sorry, okay.
I know.
But
So
I
I
get-
can't differentiate bad Estonian from bad
It's the
Finnish.
same.
I'm sorry.
It's
And we've got out of a few speeding fines that way. Can you elaborate on the emu war? You lost the emus. I got to look up that. I know that's not like the emu war is not something we learn about in Australia. There is something, like that the British didn't like the emus and tried to exterminate them. And then like the emus being like ostriches, like these birds.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And Yeah, I actually don't know much about the Emu War. Heaven forbid we don't learn about that in history class in Australia. The Great Emu War. I know. You may think that's amazing, but it's not.
You like Star Wars, but now you're going to...
Yeah. Can you elaborate on the Emu War, even here in Darwin? Police are very friendly. But hey, guys, I'm going to... I don't know if you got enough wine. I'm going to take one of those scheduled toilet breaks. We said we should. I know I got.
Hey, yeah, I know we agreed to this, but
I
I don't
see
have...
how much piss I've been drinking? I've been drinking a lot of piss. That's Darwin. That's Australian for booze. Piss.
I thought it was for beer. Like...
Nah,
that's
all
what they,
booze.
that's what
YouTube, you can say piss is like...
For
You
me,
can say
it's-
piss for any alcohol.
When I was in Manchester, like, people were like, you know, piss. It was like for beer.
Oh, okay, like a derogatory. Nah, you can be... In Australia, it's like, I'm on the piss. Like, I'm
Okay.
on anything. Grog is a very good one. Grog, booze, alky.
Well, can you...
Yeah.
Like, can the people watching ask me something so I have something to talk about?
Sorry, please talk to Sille. She's, she's not good with the camera. We talked about that.
Yeah.
So talk to Sille. I'm going to go to the toilet.
Yes, thank you, Louis, for leaving me alone. Shady bitch. I'm just gonna be silent for the 5 minutes. Like, yeah, okay. Well, it's his podcast, so I don't care if I don't talk anything. Yeah, okei, ciao, yes, tere. Ma võin eesti keeles ka tegelikult rääkida, kuigi tema podcast on inglise keeles, siis ma tegelikult olen eestlane. Kui te ei ole märganud mu aktsendist, mu kohutavast aktsendist, siis ciao kõigile. Mul on hea meel, et teil ei ole reedel plaane ja te olete jälle siin. On hea meel kõiki näha. Või noh, mitte sõna otsa mõttes. Aga jaa, seega WhatsApp, kuidas teil läheb? Ciao, Manfred, päris... Oh my god, hei! Nagu, mul on väga hea meel kuulda sinust, ma ei ole vist sind näinud päris mõnda aega. Kuidas teil läheb Austraalias? Nagu, no sul on äge elu, ma tean, et sul on äge elu. Chill ja grill, Henry, nice. Mul ei ole grilli. Mu naabrid grillivad väljas kogu aeg kusjuures. Mis mida praegu närvis, neil on sõpru. Nagu, ma ei ole, okei, see on 5. episood ja ma räägin päriselt esimest korda eesti keeles, seega te kuulete minu päris häält, kui ma ausalt ütlen. Seega nagu, ma ei tea, selles suhtes, et mina ei olnud nõus sellega, et ta vetsu läheb, nii et ma ei nagu, et okei. Ma ei tea, kas selles mõttes, et okei, ma näen su kommentaari, et Louis teeks Austraalia rahvusrooga Sanderiiguse stiilis, aga ma ei usu, et Louis oskab süüa teha. Sest et, come on, ta elab Telliskivis, ta on harjunud sellise eluviisiga, et ta lihtsalt ostab take-away'd, nagu, nii et... Okei. Aga Manfred, kas sa päriselt oled ka seal Darwinis või? Sest et ma ei tea täpselt, kus sa asud, ma tean, et sa oled Austraalias. Actually, that's my friend from Australia that was texting us. I'm like, shit. I was like, fuck.
I know. I go away for 2 minutes somewhere in Estonia.
He was like, I'm sorry, I switched to Estonian, but I was like, he was texting like, actually, Sille, it's me, like, Manfred. I was like, what? Bitch. And I was like, yeah, he's in Darwin. I didn't know he's been living there for many years. And,
no shit.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I mean, I've never been to Darwin. I don't really, truly know what it's like up in the top end.
Wow.
North.
But he's like successful and he's living his dream. And I remember like back when I used to work in a restaurant, he came to see me like when he was in Estonia.
What's the job? What are you doing in Darwin, dude? What do you know? Let's find out.
I don't remember.
Like, what job? What do you do? I guess you're not picking fruit there. You've been there for some time.
No, I've seen his Instagram. He's wearing suit. You know, he's like dressed up, so he's not picking fruit. Okay.
No, we're not picking fruit.
Oh, it's so cool.
I'm looking at all the things, the notes. Sometimes I make notes.
Yeah, I do that too, but like, not this show. It's like for me, it's like you know, for me, this is kind of basic Friday night.
That's good. Yeah,
like, you know, like
it should be.
It's just like me dressing up and just having a drink with my friend on a Friday night. That's what it is.
It's
That's
nice.
literally like Friday brunch or whatever.
So I'm renewing right now. I have to renew my visa. So my visa is renewable every 5 years, based off employment, and and I have to renew it. It's due up in August, but I've already submitted, and it should be fine because I have a company and I employ myself. So it should be all right. But it's still intimidating to have to go through that process.
Absolutely.
And as I understand that, I'm still technically on the temporary. It's called temporary visa. But it just means it's renewable every 5 years. There's a company Estonia. I own that company, and then I employ myself in that company, and I'm allowed to get a visa because I work in a company. And it's still a little bit intimidating to always have to go back and say, like, can I stay another 5 more years? And you know you can. You know the legals are covered. But may I? And so I had to apply for that.
Okay.
And everything should be
I'm
fine.
telling you, you can always get married with your girlfriend. You're like,
It's going to be a scam, 100%, if that happens. That's like the last. I said to my girlfriend, I'm like, that's the last resort. You know, that if they don't let us, we'll just get married. We don't tell anybody. It's just on the books.
bullshit. I want a party. Like,
You just like, and she's like, what? She's like, I didn't fucking sign up for this. And I'm like, no, you're in. In for a penny, in for a pound, as we say in the old country.
oh shit.
Like, that's the way it works.
Wow.
So I had to apply, and
Okay.
I give a little fee, and hopefully
But
everything's okay.
I think like everybody in Estonia already knows you. Like they're like, oh yeah, it's Louis.
I don't know if the ladies at the immigration office know me. You know, I'm not sure if they're the biggest Comedy Estonia fans as I've come. Like the last time, 5 years ago, I went to renew my thing, and I went to the office that's, I don't know how to say where it is, near Sikapuli, like down the hill from
Yeah.
Sikapuli. There's an office there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I had all my forms ready. I'm like 100%. And I roll up and I get my number, and my number gets called, and I go sit down in front of the lady, and I slide the paper across, and I say, hello, my name is Louis. I'm here to renew my visa. And she's like, Mida?
Oh no, really?
Yeah, este and I'm like, oh,
Oh, shit.
of course, because that's where you put the one person in Estonia that doesn't speak English. You know
So
where you
basi-
get a job? At the immigration department. That's exactly
And they always
where we
want you-
need you.
And they always want you to know perfect fluent Russian.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
But
no.
what about the other languages,
Yeah.
bitch? Because there are other foreign people here.
But as I understand, the way that the laws are changing, actually.
Okay.
And that I think, I'm not entirely sure, that if you wanted to get the visa that I'm on right now, you would need to speak B1 Estonian. But because I've been like grandfathered in, I'm already in the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
program,
Yeah, yeah.
there's a clause that says this little black duck doesn't need B1 Estonian if you already got it.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm always like, this is the Australian way. You find in the loopholes, the schemes, the scams.
But here's the thing. I know so many Estonians who cannot speak in the level of B2. Okay? I don't know what the fuck it is.
How much do I know Estonian, Louis? Not much. Not much. I
You
listen to the
understand when
comedy.
you read it?
No,
You
I understand. I read it. I do it. But like, could I pass a test to A2? Probably not. Because of the grammar, the specifics of the
Yeah,
grammar. Could I sit down and study it? Well, now with lockdown, maybe I could. But, you know, not that great.
Do you know like the story behind the language? But at least that's what I've been told. I don't know if it's true.
The story? Tell us
The
the
story behind the
the language.
Estonian language. It's like, I think it's like an urban legend. It's it has no truth to it. I think so, but I love the story. The story goes that, you know, Estonia has been through a lot of wars and a lot of like territorial issues, dictator, whatever. You know,
Yeah,
there's
lot
been
of
Russian, there's been like occupation.
Everyone's had a go.
Yeah, so you know, so the thing is, before Estonian language was invented, the people like the, let's say the local people who came here like 10,000 years ago, they decided to make a language so complicated that the enemies won't understand.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
what they thought of.
So,
yeah.
so even if like you can you can learn English, it's pretty easy. German, easy. Spanish, pretty easy. Like you can learn it. Estonian is like, what the? like makes no sense, and they deliberately made the language so complicated so the enemies won't get to spy on them. So if you would spoke English, like a German person would be like, what the, like it would sound so like you wouldn't have any content, you wouldn't have understand anything. So that's how the language was developed. Like it made it
That's the worst defense plan that I've ever heard in my life. You know how we'll defend? They won't understand what we're saying. But they've got guns. No, they won't understand what we're saying. We'll be able to have secrets. No, but they have big guns. Like they'll just come and they shoot things at us with catapults, but they will never understand what we're saying. That's a beautiful story. That's the most Estonian story.
That's what I told like long time ago. I heard the story. Kind of, it made sense to me because when I actually have studied Estonian language, and like this shit has so much rules and it makes no sense and the grammar is really difficult. And I'm like, why is it so? And it's also like with Finnish language.
Okay. Finnish
language is like for me it was even more difficult. And I was like, why are these languages so complicated? It could be so much simpler. Like learning English, it's like you can teach a toddler to
say whatever shit. Yeah, like an idiot like me can get English.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly. Just douchebag could understand it.
Yeah, and for me it's and when I heard the story that it was deliberately made to be as complicated as possible from many different languages, like it's just like mix everything and put all these rules and like and make it so that it sounds actually like fairies are speaking. Like you're from Middle Earth, you're speaking fucking, you know. it's like Lord of the Rings shit, literally, and it's like, you know, and I was like, well, if that's the reason, that okay, maybe it makes sense.
I think you guys just want to think that to feel better.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I think that's what you like.
Yeah.
Very complex language. Nobody understands.
But like that's the thing.
Language.
Like maybe it's like our ego or whatever stuff. But that's what we like. I've been told that story, and I was like, when I heard it, I was like, well, something that make the rules of the language don't make sense, but this story actually makes fucking sense, honestly, because literally, like I've been taking online courses, and again repeating the grammar and like trying to, because I really want to write better, and I want to edit my text and be able to write proper Estonian, right? Really, and it's a struggle, and I'm almost 30 and I'm still learning and learning.
That's so interesting for me. I just mumble out some shit like, yeah, man, it's all fine.
And everybody's like, oh,
don't worry. And it's like apparently acceptable. And you're 30 and still working on the intricacies of the ins and outs of the words that you say.
Yeah.
Like,
and it was like, and I just passed the first test, and they were like, it was 100% correct. And I was like, but it took me a week to fucking edit that text, and it was, I was just like, I hate it. I hate it so much.
It's an unbelievable idea for an adult person who is a native speaker of English to think that you need a week to go through and work out if something is correct or not.
Yeah, because they were like grammar issues, we need to fix it, and we need to explain what kind of grammar rule it follows. Sure. And I was like I was reading these just pages and pages of material, and just I was like, fuck, it's like the 9th grade again. I'm having anxiety. Like I hate this shit. Like I have so much respect for editors and people who actually write, like edit books and stuff, and write, because proper Estonian, like if you write literature, it's really like,
and it can be beautiful when it's really done and used in
and that's
language.
Why that's a craft
thing.
I really want to like perfect, and I really want to be good at it, but I'm like, this is like this is kind of masochistic. I don't know. I kind of fucking hate myself. so I mean,
maybe I couldn't speak in Shakespeare's terms. I don't know, like that ye olde English thing, like, because I went to, I mean, maybe an analogy is that I went to a public school. Okay. So we have a lot of the public-private school divide in Australia, much larger than it is in Estonia. There's like, oh, I go to the private school in Sydney. It's very upper class, and it's where all the good students go.
So you're from the creme de
creme. And I went to a public school in a small little rural town. If you're from Australia, it's called Nelson Bay. It's about 3 hours, Port Stephens, north of Newcastle, 3 hours north of Sydney. I always say it's like home and away scene, right? Like super regular. and we went to public school and we got a solid public school education. Now, we learned some shit, don't get me wrong, but we didn't learn the finest elements of the culture or any shit.
Thou shalt not.
Yeah, thou shalt not. We don't learn
okay.
nothing like that.
Okay.
And yeah, it was... I don't connect with that harder part of, and I came from the public school. I came from the real regular people. I don't know, like, okay, here's the thing. All right. When I went through the school, which was when you want to learn grammar, like it's the early grades where you start to learn the grammar. By hopefully the later grades, you've learned the grammar, right? When I went through the early grades of the grammar, there was a policy in the Australian schools that said, we are not going to teach them English grammar. We're going, yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? We're going to teach them how to speak correctly, but we're not going to tell them why. So I know how to speak correctly. And I have had a whole bunch of friends here in Estonia. They have documents or theses or all kinds of shit. And they're like, yo, Louis, can you have a read over and read it? And I'm like, sure, I guess I can read it and I can understand, is this sentence grammatically correct? But I have no idea why it's correct. I know what a noun is. A noun is a thing. And I know what a verb is. A verb is a doing thing. It's something you do. I was never taught anything beyond noun and verb.
Even adjectives?
Maybe.
Come on, you know adjectives.
They were very difficult. What's in that?
It's like when you describe something.
Yeah, it was too much. This was too much for me at this stage. Like seriously, that was the policy. What? It's not just me being a particularly stupid student.
Weird to just...
That was the policy. And it shows you how little we care about other languages in Australia.
True.
That they were like, no. Wait, hold on. They'll never need this theory grammar shit. We'll just teach them. I can speak to you. If I want to, I can speak to you in absolutely 100% grammatically correct English.
Yeah,
if I
but you
really
cannot write it.
Considering it. No, I can. I can write it and I can work it out and I can rearrange a sentence and I can tell you what is correct. I have no idea of the theory behind it. They just did not teach us. And that has been a huge difficulty in getting to learn another language. Because I go into the language class. You don't know the
past and future present tenses.
Yeah, they're like, yo, we're going to do past tense. We're going to do adjectives. And I'm like...
but you don't have the base of it to understand.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to have to go back and learn English grammar first.
Oh, we're so cunning linguists right here.
You're so good. Everyone.
No, the thing is like, for me, just to break it down a language, you know, and just, I love learning new things. I have nothing like, really. And when I first like heard English, I was like, that's it.
That's it? That's you motherfuckers ain't got nothing. You made a whole culture, TV shows, movies, like magazines, the whole thing. And that's it?
Because we had to learn.
Such a funny idea to me.
For me, it was like... in Estonian language, there was like 14 different ways to say a fucking one word. And I was like, what the hell is going on? It's so difficult. And it's like so many rules. I was crying. Yeah. And like third grade already. I was like, I don't know. I have an existential crisis. I don't know what this language is about. I don't know. Reading this epos about Kalevipoeg. What the fuck is going on? It's the oldest. It was like old Estonian language is different. And it's like the letters were different. Everything is... And it's then there's the Russian language and it's everything is like... And we need to learn about the influences of Estonian language. We need to learn the foreign words, like from Finland and from Germany and from Russia and from English, and like just to understand. And we need to learn the proper pronunciation of those words and to understand how they are written in the. It was just, I was just like, oh, like, can I be unemployed for the rest of my? I don't know how to write. Okay.
Oh my god, I never like even in my very public school education. We didn't even learn Shakespeare.
What?
Like the works, the man, the
like
guy.
The most, come on. Like
the most. We didn't learn Shakespeare. So what happened was when I was in the final year of school in the year 12, I grew up in this very small town. And my friend Dita and I had convinced our parents that what we needed to do in the midterm break was we needed to go on a study trip to Sydney, the big city. We live three hours away. It's like you're living in Tartu and you're like, hey, mom and dad, there's a study camp in Tallinn. We need to go. And me and Dita somehow convinced our parents that we needed to go to the study physics camp. So we go to it's the middle of the year 12, the final year. We convince our mum and our parents that we need to go to the study physics camp in Sydney. We don't listen to anything. We're not into. We just want to be in the city. But I meet this girl, and you know, you meet a girl. You're young. She's very attractive. You're like, and I pull up the courage to talk to her eventually after 4 or 5 days. And what are we going to do? What do you do when you're 17? You go to a movie. You want to go see a movie? And
predictable.
I asked this young lady to go see a movie. Now, she went to a delightful private school in the affluent and high-paying North Shore. That's where she came from. I didn't know that. I just talked to her. And she said, yeah, we're going to go see a movie. And I'm like, cool. And the movie was the Kenneth Branagh version of Hamlet.
Okay.
Like this was
you don't
2008.
know Hamlet, but you don't know Hamlet.
Right. So she studied Shakespeare. She knows all that shit. I'm the little kid from the small town, and I'm like, yeah, I'll come to see the Hamlet. And it was like back when the Kenneth Branagh Hamlet came out, there was like the 1.5 hour regular version, and then there was the 4-hour OG irregular version.
You were the little Australian that could.
I was the dumb little countryside kid, and she's like, "Oh, there's an art house cinema near my house on the North Shore."
And what is art house? And you don't know it.
Yeah. And she's like, "They're showing a once-off screening of the 4-hour version." And I'm like, "Yeah, I love that Shakespeare guy. He's got all the good."
You were thinking it's like Steven Spielberg or some shit.
Yeah, let's go. And you know, I had to sit there as a 17-year-old kid, and I sat through 4 fucking hours of Kenneth Branagh Shakespeare. And because I never studied Shakespeare, and the language they use in Shakespeare is an older version. Yeah. Right? You might
and all
that shit. I swear to God, I did not understand anything. I'm like, I don't understand. It's essentially, I may have watched that show in another language. Yeah. Like I was basically sitting there watching it in Estonian. It was good preparation for me coming to Estonia years later and being like, yeah, baby, let's go to the movies. No problems. Let's hang out and let's watch some Estonia movie. And me sitting there going like, yeah, I understand this. Sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Tule, no problems. Tule siia, baby. And I sat there and watched this whole fucking thing. And, you know, I did the thing and I was like, because when you're 17, you don't know what's up.
No, absolutely.
So I was like, oh, and I did that shit. I did that. I was like, oh, here's the arm. I pulled the moves and she went for it. Like, not nice, like, you know, like she was receptive. Okay. You know, in a classy way. And, you know, she went on to be my girlfriend for the next year. Oh. So, guys, sit through
it's like fake it till you make it. In real life, it's like, so into this shit that I don't understand. It's like, cool. For me, it was weird. When I started to travel, if you're from Estonia, you need to be fluent in Estonian, Russian. You need to learn English, probably Finnish or something. Like, you need to learn like 4 languages. Then you go to London. You're like, you don't understand what the fuck people are saying.
Oh, what are you doing? All right, leave it out. No problems.
Especially if you go to like Essex or something. I was like, what the, like, what is this? Like, I was, because the, you know, dialect or whatever, like, it was so confusing. And then I learned that actually people from the UK, they don't learn any other language. They just speak English.
Yeah, we don't know. They just don't know.
Hey, it's like, what the, okay, can you just speak to me like a proper person. It took me a week
Stop
to
being
just
retarded.
like to understand, because they have so much slang and they talk so fast and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. And then like they told me like, oh, it's like we have a like, you can take a class on like learning Spanish or like French or we're not interested in that. It's like they don't care. And I was like, you don't know any other language besides English? I'm like, how do you function? I was so shook. That's an option. I was like, that wasn't an option when I went to school. You had to know 4 languages. Okay, you need to study.
No, we don't.
I was like, I was blown away. I was like, what? Like I didn't know.
Yeah.
And we learned like the Oxford pronunciation of everything, and it's and you go to Manchester and you're like, I don't understand what people are saying.
I love how, was there at any stage in your education, what you were having, was, because some people have talked to me and they said they had to make a choice that they're either going to learn the American version or the English version.
Yeah.
Did you have to have that choice, or was that
Usually it was because I grew up in the 90s and early 2000s. It was usually the teacher that made this choice. So if you had like an English teacher, it's like, yeah, like you're gonna learn from Edinburgh. It's like it sounds so pretentious for me. And they teach you the grammar that is like British English.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But then later you're like, oh, there's an American English, and there's like Australian, and there's like so many different versions of English. And then like, because I was always like, I've been told like I write some certain words wrong, but then Americans telling me like color or neighbor or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I spell it like according to the rules that I remember. I'm sorry. Like there's like it was so confusing to me because I didn't realize that the English like can be different than the grammar. It was like, it's getting confusing again.
And it doesn't feel like there are different languages in the world, maybe let's say German, and then there's Austrian, have a dialect, I don't know, or something.
Yeah.
And to me, that feels like legitimate. That feels like, oh, we're a language and they've got a legitimate accent and all of that. English versions are just more retarded people yelling at retarded people. Like, no, we made a week over here. Now we talk like this. So fuck you. This is language. Like, nah, we're all just yelling at each other in retarded ways. I don't feel like it's...
Yeah, for me, because I was always so insecure about my English. I was like, oh, I have a thick accent and I don't know the words and I don't know how to like pronounce it, this and that. And because like my English teachers were so tough. And I remember I had to spell everything and I was crying and I was like, I don't know how to spell mustache. I was like, fuck, like M-O, like fuck. And I remember crying, I don't know how to spell it. Like, and I was like, no, you're gonna like fail school. And I was like, fuck.
It doesn't make sense. English spelling doesn't make sense. It's all crazy. Mustache, M-U-S-T-C-H-E?
With mustache, like it's like I remember like
M-O-O-S-T.
You should know. You had one.
Such.
Like, have you seen the video of Louis?
Mustache.
Okay. Have you seen the video of Louis having like this Tom Selleck mustache?
Oh
like,
yeah.
Magnum PI realness, honey. I was like, woo!
So I found a really old video. We have a whole lot of videos in the Comedy Estonia archive that are on YouTube, but they're like unlisted. And one of them was me trying to do this super Australian guy, and like in 2012 in Old Merku, that sets it, Old Merku underground on Rootley, and I've got like this huge, for the Australian reference, a chopper mustache. I've got a huge Chopper Reed mustache. And I just go like, yeah, mates, with fucking everything's all right. And I posted it and it's apparently crazy.
Yeah, it is for me because I was like, what is this Magnum PI shit? Like, it was like really, I was like, I didn't think that. At first I was like, is it Louis? I was like, wow.
Yeah, you didn't know that was...
I didn't recognize it at first. I was like...
I guess I was so young and still had good looks.
I didn't know you back then. I remember you like 3 years ago when I was in Mökko.
Okay.
I remember like there was an open mic.
New Mökku?
Yeah, New Mökku.
Club Mökku.
Yeah. There was an open mic. I was there, and you were like, "Oh, hey, Sille, great to see you. What's up?" But when you ask like somebody like, "How's it going?" you don't really expect an answer.
Sure. Yeah. It's a little bit Westerner thing. I get that. What's up, yo? What's up?
Yeah. But I was like, so anyway, like, I started to tell this entire story, and then you look at me like, "Does this story have a point?" And I'm like, "No," and like what the fuck, Sille? You're wasting my time, and you were so mad. because I was like 10 minutes just yeah, because I was just 10 minutes. So anyway, like, you know, like I went and you were like, what the fuck are you who are these people that you're talking
This
about?
is the best part of like when Estonians learn English. That like I've said this so many times, especially back in the day. It would be all be like, oh, Westerners are so shallow. You're so shallow because you always ask like, how are you doing? But you don't really want to know how am I doing. When you ask an Estonian, kuidas läheb, then you're asking how is their day, and you want to hear a real answer because we're Estonians and we value humanity. But you Westerners with your flippant, and I would get this all the time, and I'd be like, really? You didn't just work it out? Like, I'm a Westerner. You say yo, we say yo. How you doing? I'm good.
The funny
like,
thing
you
is,
couldn't get it.
No, but the funny thing is, when you ask somebody in Estonian, how's it going, like kuidas läheb, then usually people reply hästi, like good, you know. But when a foreigner asks like, hey Sille, what's up, like hey what's up, then they're like, oh my god, so this week, okay. And then I remember your face, you were like, are you fucking, is this bitch for real right now? Okay, if you want to tell your stories, here's the stage. Don't bug me,
No,
okay?
I did mean. I'm sorry.
No, but for me, it's like, isn't it ironic that every Friday now you want to talk to me for 2 hours,
Ah, here we are. Yeah. I've been put in my place.
bitch? It took me 3 years, but I'm like, now you have to listen to my bullshit like
gotta
every
listen.
weekly basis, like, you know. But it was so, because you were always like, you talk so much. I was like, yes, that's why I learned English language, so I can be annoying in 2 different languages, you know, to express myself, because the Estonians were already sick of my shit. So I was like, okay, next.
Oh my god.
But it was fun. It was really fun.
It's cool.
It's
It's
a
so
fun
funny.
memory, like, because I remember it so vividly. Like,
I used to get
This-
that as well. A very similar thing that I used to get, not so much anymore, but again, I'm going back because I've been here since the first time I ever came to Estonia was 2006. So like putting references in timeline. I used to get in a similar way a lot of like, well, people would ask me, who are your friends in Estonia? I'd be like, oh, I've been hanging out here. I met some people. I had a good time. I was here for a couple of student days and here for
But
a few
that's not
weeks.
what they're asking.
Right. And they'll be like, yes, but who do you know? And I'm like, oh, I met this person and that person, and I'm Louis, and I'm super outgoing, and I know people. And like, no, but who do you know? And they're like, who are your friends? And I'm like, friends? Oh, I got lots of friends. I know this guy, and I've met this dude. And they're like, no, Louis. Who are your friends? Who are you really your friends? And these people would look at me like, no, you shallow Westerner.
Mm-hmm.
You shallow Westerner with your just flippantly calling everybody your friend. And I'd be like, yeah, I met that guy as my friend. And I met that guy and I met him at the bar as my friend. And they're like, no, Louis, you don't know friends. Like Estonians know friends.
it's like, you can call somebody a friend if you know him for
Oh,
20
yeah.
years.
20 years
There's-
is my friend.
It's like, and then you've been to Soviet Union, the war, like
You got the press.
pandemic, crisis, economic crisis, everything. You went through this shit. Never had a fight. True, like really, like
Maybe
really,
now,
yeah,
my
maybe now I can call you a
friend.
friend. It's like really, like yeah. Usually when somebody asks about my friends, I don't even think about it. I was like, yeah, I know people since the 3rd grade and 4th grade, and like I talk about like that. You know, it's like really deep friendship, like almost family. Like it's like, and that's what we understand. That friends are like really deep rooted. It's not somebody you met last week in a bar.
Yeah,
it's
and
kind of, I know, and
everyone-
it's
so like,
yeah.
you don't know. You've just been here a while, and I would have to. Eventually, I came to the conclusion that we're all human beings.
Yeah.
And we all share a similar base root emotion. We all have the same level of. It's just that in different cultures we put different labels on things.
Sure.
And so what in West we call friend, you call like acquaintance.
Yeah.
Or someone you
Yeah,
just
maybe.
met, or
Yeah.
random guy,
Yeah.
or person I hate. And like we call like good friend, you call friend. And it was just different labels.
Yeah.
That was the problem, was the labeling of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go, he's my friend. Well, I would say he's my good friend. I really know him. I know
Yeah.
him, and he's a really close friend.
That's why I usually use the term bestie to differentiate from the people that are really truly my BFFs, my best friends from known since forever, 20 years, whatever. But like I also say, like, even if it's somebody I know for a month or something, I can see that if we get along, and we talk to like, I can say, yeah, he's my friend.
But it's interesting. Yeah, right. Because I haven't experienced that for a good 8 years. At least.
Yeah,
Let's say
okay,
at
okay,
least.
yeah.
Like, it's interesting how times change. That
Yeah.
at first, I don't want to be like, no, I wasn't Dave Benton coming back in the day. But 2006 was still pretty...
It's different times,
Yeah, it was still a little bit early. Now it's not a thing anymore. Maybe there's enough foreigners. Maybe that's why ECRA's coming along. I don't know. I don't want to get into it.
2006, it was like 2 years after we joined the United Nations and European Union, and it was really.
I had a bank account that was still in crowns.
Yeah, it was
Before that, I had a not what was it before Swedbank? It was Hansabank.
Hansabank, yeah.
I had a Hansabank account.
Wow.
And the reason that I got to have I was in 2006, I was this traveling dude. I was this Aussie backpacker. Yeah, how you going? I'm the Aussie backpacker. I'm in the fucking hostel and let's have sex. And that's what I was doing. And I needed to work out a way to get paid. And so I walked into the Hansabank office down, which is now in town. And I went to the Hansabank office and I said, "Hi, hey, yeah, I'm Louis. So I need a bank account. And can I have a bank account?" And they said, "Okay, well, you need to give us an address." And I said, "Okay." And I gave them the address of the hostel. Craig from Red Emperors, if you're out there, buddy.
Oh my God.
I gave them the old address. Anyway, I gave them the old
we all
address
know
of the
the
old
place, yeah.
Talon backpackers. And I just wrote down any random address, basically. And I said, "Yeah, I'm Louis, I'm at this address." And they said, "Okay, you have accounts now." And they gave me a fucking bank account. And then I started to send money because I was still doing some IT work. And I started to send money into that account. And then that account eventually became a Swedbank account. And now you can't. And then eventually some EU laws came along that you can't just do that shit. Like you need to have ID and you have to be legitimate.
Yeah.
But I got my account so long ago that I could have been a fucking anybody.
True.
So that's my OG credentials, that I had a Hansabank account. I walked in. I was like filtering money from Sweden. You don't want to know the story. It was.
But you were hustling like an Estonia. You were just, you need to get by. You need to find.
I need to get by. I've got some money. Some guys, some company want to give me some money. I was hustling. I was sending money around.
So that's really Estonian way to do it.
That was my thing when it was Hansabank.
So that's why you blended in.
And not anymore. I appreciate. But again, always getting grandfathered in. That's my scam. Always getting here early enough that I get the, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, let me in. And then later on, the rules get changed.
But
and
you're
they're more
already
strict,
in.
But I'm already in. So I'm here. That's the scam. That's how you gotta.
So that's how you do it, foreign people.
That's how you do it now. Because again, if you want to come now, you're fucked. I'm sorry, it's too late. EU rules. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, look, right now I'm about ready to join ECRA. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. There's enough foreigners. Fuck off. We're full. That's the Australian. That's the One Nation Paul Hansen strategy. Now I'm in, because that's a very Australian way to approach immigration.
Yeah.
Because I won't go too far into it. I know. No, we don't have to turn off at 6.
Oh, really?
Carl can start his stream. It doesn't matter.
But then nobody's gonna watch us.
No,
Come on, they're
it's
gonna
fine.
have
We still got some people. We can keep talking. It's okay. There can be 2 streams at once.
I know, but like, it's like, I don't know.
I should shut up. I know. Okay.
No, it's not like that. I was just...
It's an Australian. Okay.
Okay, so you can get.
The Australian racism, right?
Okay.
Is that because if you think about Australia. Okay, maybe not.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
And we're back, and we're not back.
Okay, I don't know. Anyway.
It's better near the window.
All right. So anyway.
Maybe the hotspot
Yeah.
fucked up.
Okay.
Anyway,
maybe we should wrap it up.
maybe
Just
we should.
yeah,
Okay,
just.
I agree. Maybe it is time to wrap it up. But it's a weird look. I guess my point was that it's a weird part of Australian racism.
Yeah.
That we're all immigrants.
Yeah.
Right? We're all immigrants. But we're like, now, as soon as you get into Australia, we're like, fuck you, don't come in.
But isn't the same with Americans?
Yeah. It's a very similar thing. They're all immigrants too.
Yeah.
Why are you so, oh, we're American. No,
Because-
you just came like 20 years ago.
You know, so I think it's the same thing. Like, people get really, like, it's like my territory. You know? It's like, yeah. So, you know. Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up.
Maybe we should wrap it up. I feel that I feel this is coincidental, the thing, but somehow the stream has fucked up around 6 o'clock. Carl and Ardo are coming with Stripper Marco right now. You don't want to listen to us.
Come on.
You want to go watch Stripper Marco. Go watch Stripper Marco. There's another stream, the Cooler Pod stream on Comedy Estonia. Thank you, Silla, for being here again. Next week.
Absolutely.
Let's do it again next week. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate that. See you next week, guys. Thank you.
Bye.